This is high-speed chess. That's what you're watching.
What's going on, my guys? I made a video reacting to the Haney Norman stuff and all that, and then I spoke on how Norman ducked Jaron Ennis, and it's one of the worst ducks I've seen in recent years. And a lot of people are like, "Well, this is what happened. This is it." Look, I'm here today to clarify everything. Give you guys maybe a good timeline and why I said Norman ducked Ennis, and why it's hard for me to take the kid serious. He's a great kid, though. I give it to him. I give him that much. So let's take a look at Brian Norman, right? And let's first get the timeline down. Brian Norman and Jaron Ennis first started negotiating around somewhere around here, right? September of last year, 2024. That is about the timeline where the negotiations with Boots and Brian Norman begin. The offer, which I can find, where's this offer at? The offer which was made was a whopping $1.7 million, right? Which is okay, right? We need to add some more context on it. Let's actually read this quote here. I think this is by Bozy Ennis. Yeah, Bozy Ennis. So just like when they, referring to Norman Jr., was offered so much amount of money, 1.7 million, and turned it down. Bozy Ennis continued 750,000, 1.5 million, and 1.7 million when you fought Giovanni Santillan, and you only got 100K, and you're talking about that wasn't enough, that Eddie Hearn was offering you enough money. You only made 100K before Norman had captured WO title, right? Okay, so this is important as well, that the offer started at 750,000. They negotiated up to 1.5 million, and then finally they negotiated up to 1.7 million, right? This is really important. And also, this is really important. He fought Giovanni Santillan. I thought I had that up here. Giovanni Santillan for $100,000, right? That's also really important. So the initial offer was 750. They negotiated two more times and got up to 1.7 million. And his biggest payout at the time was 100,000. And then again, Brian Norman and his team asked for another $500,000. Right? So this is a duck. This is a duck. Like, there's no getting around this. You guys can call it what you want to call it, but this is a duck. So instead, Brian Norman goes on to fight Derek Quavez, okay, in Las Vegas on an undercard. He wasn't even a co-main event to this fight. So I'm assuming he didn't make a lot of money here neither. Even though he was champion, he probably made $250,000, $300,000, right? I'm not here to pocket watch. I'm here to make logical sense of all of this. So he declines the 1.7 million from Boots, right? And he takes a fight with Derek Quavez, where he fights on the undercard from Michaela Meyer, and make maybe $300,000, right? So why didn't he take the fight with Boots? What do you guys tell me? You guys tell me Boots didn't offer him enough money, which is total BS, right? So we're talking about a guy whose biggest payday was $100,000. I offer that man $750,000, which is almost 8 times his biggest payday. Then I offer him 1.5 million, which is 15 times his biggest payday. Then I offer him 1.7 million finally, which is 17 times his biggest payday. And he says, no, throw another 500,000 on top. 500 extra $1,000 for you to fight with Jaron Ennis. That the gap between 1.7 and 2.2 million, the discrepancy between those two numbers is larger than his last two purses combined, right? So let's think about that. So the money wasn't an issue. They offered him enough money. So what else do you guys tell me? Well, Jerry, it was smart. It was smart. Look how his career has panned out. He's now getting his Devin Haney fight, etc., whatever. Well, he didn't know he was getting this fight. Brian Norman Jr. did not know he was going to get this Devin Haney fight. He didn't know he was going to get the Sasaki fight. All he knew was he was going to fight Derek Quavez, and then whatever happened after that happened. And I will say it was a smart decision, because look at him today. He has a more favorable fight for more money, right? But that's why we don't praise boxers. We don't praise boxers for maneuvering around guys and trying to find the least, opposing threat. We don't praise boxers for that. We praise boxers for taking on the hardest task at the time. We praise boxers for, challenging themselves. Brian Norman Jr. simply isn't one of those guys. I made that very clear in the video. Brian Norman, he's a great kid. But all the tough talk, you can miss me with that. Because Jaron Ennis, he came and I don't want to be disrespectful, but he kind of bullied these guys. He moved all you guys. He gave y'all 1.7 million. He moved you guys. Fought Stenionis, in which he I think I got Stenionis' purse up here as well. Stenionis, the WBA regular champion, is said to have a negotiated purse of 1.8 million. Right? Stenionis took it. Stenionis took the fight for 1.8. If y'all would ask for maybe another 100K, but we're talking another $500,000. Nah, that's a duck. That's a duck. Whether you guys want to call it a duck or not, it is a duck. And I think Brian Norman's a great fighter. Not great, but I think he is a good fighter. And he does have a legitimate shot at beating Devin Haney. But I can see the whole persona. Yeah, he's a country boy. He is really hard. He got bricks for hands, all that good stuff. But when somebody came to you and stepped to you and looked you in the eyes and offered you the biggest payday of your life, you tucked your tail. You nor your father nor your team had enough confidence in you to take life-changing money at that time. And that tells me a lot about these guys. And in this fight with Devin Haney, we could see those type of I guess you could say emotions resurface. We could see that type of those thoughts resurface. You don't believe in yourself. Brian Norman Sr. doesn't believe in you. That's just the fact of the matter. Y'all don't believe in Brian Norman Jr. Because if y'all did, a fighter who's only made $100,000 as his biggest payday, if you truly believed in your son, you would have threw him out there with Jaron Ennis for that 1.7 million. You would have. That's just a fact. But they don't believe in themselves. And there's going to be a point in this fight where Devin Haney's going to be operating. He's going to be doing what Devin Haney typically does. And those doubts are going to resurface. And he's slowly going to break down. He's slowly going to crumble. And he's going to slowly start to remember the 1.7 million he denied just to get beat on by a guy who started his career at lightweight. Brian Norman's a really good kid. I can't stress that enough. I cannot stress that enough. But in the same breath, he's not this dog-like fighter. He's not a dog. Dogs are people who go out there and go get it no matter what. Give me whatever amount of money. I'm going to beat you and take your money. That's what Haney did to Kambosos. Bill and Dev believed they could beat Kambosos so much. They said, give us whatever number you want. Whatever number you like, we going to take it. They fall for maybe 22%, 22, 25, somewhere around there. If you could beat a guy, especially a guy in Jaron Ennis, and they're offering you 17 times the most amount of money you've ever made in your life, you say, okay, I'm going to take that $1.7 million purse, which is still a substantial amount of money. I'm going to beat you. I'm going to knock you out. And then I'm going to raise my stock. So my next fight's going to be for $3 million. I could probably even rematch you for $5 million. That's what a true boxer does. You can maneuver in a more educated manner while also taking on great challenges. So Brian Norman being a dog, being this and that, now you guys can miss me with that stuff. He's a good kid, but he's not a dog. Dogs don't tuck their tails and run. He's not that.